so hard from left to right on our screen. The wind is not letting up, is it?
It's really not, Tom. And just in the past minute, speaking of that smoke plume, the color has changed and it's gotten significantly darker, which we're guessing, obviously it's moving through some heavy fuel right now, and that has changed the color of the smoke from a lighter gray color. It was pretty dark just a couple minutes ago. And speaking of the angle of it, yeah, you're right. It is almost completely sideways, right? The wind is whipping it so strongly right now. The wind has been the story, obviously, out here, along with the fire. We were talking to a storm chaser earlier out here who was measuring the wind strength. It was sustained at 50 plus miles per hour. We've got some wild and fire trucks that just sped past us down here. You can imagine this is all hands on deck for the fire crews. We are looking down toward a subdivision in the Superior area, and this is the viewpoint that we have been looking at for the past hour or so. It's just kind of sickening to see this huge plume of smoke and the wind that has been driving it all afternoon. And every so often, Tom, again, we see that change of the color of the smoke where it goes from a light gray to a darker colored gray. And from our vantage point, we can't tell exactly what is burning, but when it becomes bigger and when the plume gets bigger and the color changes, we have to imagine that it is moving through some heavy fuel out there. We did see at some point some flames that were pretty close to some of the homes out here. So we are just hoping as best we can that these flames are not approaching these homes that we see from our vantage point here. But wow, this plume of smoke is just massive. And we could see it from so far away earlier today as we were heading up to this spot where we're at now. Kind of in the Broomfield area, we could even smell the smoke from our car. So I can imagine if you're anywhere pretty close to here, this vantage point is just unreal, Tom. That view, at a loss for words just looking at it.
Yeah, that view of the smoke over your left side there, it almost looks like time lapse. It is going so fast from left to right. It's stunning to see the smoke in that large a scale moving so quickly, and it must be terrifying for the people when you think of those neighborhoods.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is just, I can see the entire subdivision from this vantage point, and the smoke is basically covering all of it. Just sickening. And I want to show you, I just see now some flames. I don't know if you can see it. Photojournalist Mike Grady might be able to zoom in. You can see, it looks like that grass, that fuel is on fire pretty well there, pretty close to a large structure in the distance. I'm not quite sure what that building is, but it looks like it has hopped that hillside and is moving. So now we're seeing some orange flames and quite a bit of smoke, Tom.
Stay with that picture for a minute, because that you talked about the color of the smoke changing, but also that activity on the ground, the visibility of the fire and the proximity of this to these homes in this area. Just it would be heartbreaking if it was on tape. To watch it live is crushing, because I think anybody would think there, but for the grace of God, it would be my neighborhood. I could live here. I know these people, and we know someone who lives there. Everyone does, and this is happening in real time. We want to get more information now. Master Trooper Barry Cutler is joining us on the phone right. Excuse me? Gary Cutler, I'm sorry about that, Master Trooper. What can you tell us? Where are you, and what is the latest from your vantage point?
So I'm actually out of our headquarters, so I'm looking at what our CAD logs are showing today and what activity we have coming out. Winds are causing havoc for a lot of people. Our primarily right now is for roadways. Highway 93, which is always known for the strong winds, is really causing some havoc today. We have at least 3 semis that have rolled over there. So we've had to shut down that roadway from Highway 58 to Highway 128. And so nothing's moving in there. We're trying to get those semis cleared. We've also got a couple more semis over by Highway 58 and McIntyre. We have 2 of them that are rolled. We also have a fuel leak that we're dealing with. So you can expect some closures there as well. And we are helping with road closures and notifications over in Boulder with the fire up there.
All right, Master Trooper Cutler, I appreciate you taking the time to let us know. Obviously, things are changing rapidly, and we will check back with you as soon as we have more information. We continue to watch this scene, though. This is a view from Noel Brennan's location up near the Omni Interlochen Golf Course. And we have been sadly watching the process and progress of the smoke and flames making their way right to that building, and certainly that neighborhood. It's hard to get true perspective as far as the distance between the edge of that smoke and the edge of that neighborhood, but they are far closer than you would ever want. And of the many things we've been watching, this is compelling. Certainly below now, you can see the many people in that neighborhood who are now leaving. Superior has been under an evacuation order for several hours. Fire Command now from the Boulder Office of Emergency Management now ordering an evacuation as well for the city of Louisville. If you're in the area, they say to please act quickly. There have been a couple of evacuation locations sent out. One, the South Boulder Rec Center. We've also been told that may be difficult to get to, considering the direction of the fire, but also the YMCA of Northern Colorado on Dagny Way in Lafayette is another place where you can go. This picture, though, is hard to watch. It is the potentiality of those people in the bottom right getting out of here, knowing what is coming behind them, now really at the will of the wind in many ways. The fire continuing to burn and easily burn, it seems like, and traffic so easily. Danielle talking about those winds coming out of the southwest, and they continue to push, and the dry fuels on the ground continue to feed, and it becomes just a terrifying situation. This one of 3 major fires that started to burn a little less than 3 hours ago, and have now really started to wreak even more havoc than when they did initially, and they did at the outset. But Danielle, this scene is difficult to watch, and I know you're watching it to see where these winds are going and what is happening, but we're all human, and that hurts.
It does. I mean, like what Noel was saying, it just takes your breath away. I mean, you just have the biggest pit in your stomach watching this and knowing that really, like I said earlier, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. I mean, we have been so dry around here, and just this terrible combination of strong winds, low humidity values, and just truly a incredibly warm and dry year. We have everything going against us. And this is a situation we never want to see play out, but one that we knew potentially would be happening. But when you see these homes and the cars and the people and the pets and everyone just trying to leave, it puts it all into perspective, right? And what's important. I want to take you out to the maps, because unfortunately these winds, they just keep getting stronger around Boulder. Right now we're at 75 miles per hour, and that is what we have seen out there, with those incredibly fast-moving flames and all of the smoke that has been pushing across Boulder County and through Broomfield. I have had several folks texting me that are living just to the east of these fires saying we have go bags and we're ready. You know, here we are, December 30th. This is not the situation that we thought just after the holidays that folks would have to deal with, but we know how just wicked these winds can be across Colorado. And unfortunately, the scenario that is set up as we are waiting the strong cold front to push in and the strong winter storm has left us with this. As we look ahead toward the next couple of hours, it does look like these winds should begin to back off, but we still have several more hours to go. This is about 11 o'clock or so this evening when we finally start to see those winds more so in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range, but still quite strong. The closer you get into the foothills around Boulder through Broomfield, and then of course up toward Estes Park, Allens Park, Netterland, etc. By tomorrow, we'll be waiting for that cold front that pushes in, and it will switch our winds back to the northeast. And by about 2-3 o'clock, we'll be looking at snow moving back in and incredibly cold temperatures as we ring in the new year. I wanted to show you a quick rainfall comparison as we look at the Boulder area, and we really kind of dive into some of these numbers just to see how dry it has been from August 1 to today, December 30th, only 1.6 inches. In the past week alone, the Phoenix area, the desert, has seen that much rainfall. We are parched. We are thirsty. We desperately need rain. We desperately need snowfall around here. And unfortunately, this is a situation where we're just going to be a day late. As we look on HG Doppler 9, you can just kind of start to see a little bit of that snowfall beginning to move in across the western slope. A little bit of light snowfall also tracking through parts of the Front Range Mountains, through the foothills. But what I find so interesting about this is how thick and dense that smoke is, that we're actually able to see it pick up on radar. You can kind of see that green yellowish line just tracking off from the west to the east, pushing over I-25 just to the southeast of the Boulder area. That is that line of thick, dense smoke that so many of you have seen. You don't have to be in the Boulder area to see it. This is one of our cameras in downtown Denver. As we're looking out there, you can see just the juxtaposition of how dark that smoke is, and then that blue sky just to the far right-hand corner of the screen. It's amazing, the power of Mother Nature and the power of these strong winds as we watch them just whip across parts of the metro area. This another vantage point from our Lookout Mountain camera, showcasing the thick black plumes of smoke continuing to push further off to the north and to the east. Our view from the Cheeseman Park area, you can see some blue skies, a few clouds up in the mountains, and then that little layer to the far right-hand side of your screen. And then meanwhile, up in the mountains, it's a completely different picture as we are tracking some light snowfall coming through, traffic moving slowly out there as they await another round of winter weather. They have been slammed with snow for the past 7 days, some incredible amounts, but unfortunately the Front Range truly has not been able to get in on any of this action, Tom, until tomorrow, when it just might be a little too late. I do want to show you briefly what I am looking at as far as tomorrow goes through early Saturday morning, potentially 4 to 8 inches of new snow in and around the Boulder area. Just a complete stark contrast to, unfortunately, Tom, what we're seeing today.
It'll be welcome when it gets here.
For sure.
But as you said, it is too late. I think one thing that strikes you as you look at these fires is normally you think of oftentimes open land, forest fires, where there is some time in many cases, and there's always the cavalry coming. And in this case, the cavalry doesn't know where to fight right now or how to fight against these winds. Some of these pictures, this West Flatiron Crossing, a look at what you can't see, what is happening, but how poor the visibility is and how quickly the fire was spreading. This was, I think, one of the time lapses. And then the Cherryvale Road picture that we've been showing you, just as the fire seemed to, with ease, be able to get its way across US 36. And that alone, certainly alarming as to what might happen. But again, we are talking with populated areas, 50-plus-mile-an-hour winds, and fires that are popping up and fires that are, when they start, moving so rapidly. This is a very difficult task to forecast how this will be playing out. But what we're seeing right now certainly is dangerous, and a reminder of evacuation orders in effect for Superior and Louisville. But also, if you're not directly in those areas and you don't feel that you need to evacuate, you probably would be well served to prepare to evacuate. At least. Again, this look from Noel Brennan's camera from the Omni Interlochen, looking a little bit towards Flatiron's Crossing, where we've been watching the fire on the move, and those vehicles on their way down towards that. But the flames burning on the right side continue to animate further and further as they continue to drive from left to right. And down to the bottom of that, we've been watching so many cars trying to get out of that neighborhood. That is an area that certainly needs to evacuate and do so quickly. We want to head up US 36 just a little bit by the Coal Creek Golf Course. That's where Angeline McCall and photojournalist Tom Cole have been. Sadly, Angeline, you've been in the midst of the smoke.
Yeah, a lot of smoke, a lot of flames in this area. We just spoke with a homeowner. He went back home to make sure to get his daughter to go back to the car. And he said he doesn't care about his house. He went, he got a couple of things. Oh, we got emergency crews coming right now. We did just hear where that homeowner was coming from. It's a little bit down this road, which is Dillon Road. That's where that homeowner is, or was coming from, where his home was, or is, I should say. And yeah, we heard over the megaphone Boulder Police saying mandatory evacuation orders. You must leave right now. And so this side of Dillon, where we're on, it hasn't really been hit as hard by the fire itself. On the other side, it's just all burned. It's all black. You could see trees on fire. You could see grass on fire. And they have shut this road down. And I believe what we saw is actually a couple of homeowners trying to get back, driving through. And I believe police are not letting them at this point. The only way is out. You got what I'm saying? You can't go in, you can just get out. So that homeowner that we talked to, he parked a bit of ways, walked home, got the dog, his daughter, and a couple of important things that with a backpack and left. And, you know, it's sad to say because you don't know when these homeowners are going to be able to come home. And so many of them, they don't know what is going to happen. Tom?
All right, Angeline, again, you and Tom stay safe there by Coal Creek Golf Course, and we'll continue to watch that scene. As someone who's had to evacuate, you do edit quickly. You realize it's family, it's pets, and it's very few things that you really need. Everything else you can replace. But if you have the time to do the math ahead of time with some forewarning, it certainly gives you the opportunity to get out safely with things you want as well. But it is a very difficult thing to experience. Noel Brennan is back with us now. He's over by the Omni Interlochen Golf Course looking down towards Flatiron Crossing. Noel, what are you seeing now?
Well, Tom, you mentioned the golf course just a few minutes ago. We talked to a guy that was working on the grounds crew for the golf course, and he just came by to talk to us and said that usually this vantage point here is one of his favorites on the golf course. He absolutely loves the view, but today it is just devastating. We have watched as this huge plume of smoke has just been carried over behind the subdivision of Superior that we're looking at right here. We have seen flames. We've seen flames in the trees in front of a large building in the distance. It's been difficult to tell if any structures have caught fire out here, but the flames have certainly gotten pretty close. We have been watching the plane. Tom, I'm going to send it back to you. We've got someone out here who's trying to get on the camera yelling things.
All right, thank you, Noel. We'll check back with you when you get a handle on things there as well. Again, we went from the Coal Creek Golf Course on the north side of 36, a little further east and to the south side, that view that Noel had from the Omni Interlochen Golf Course. One of the evacuation points has been the South Boulder Rec Center, and that over by Fairview High School, where it's been very busy and maybe hard to get to, but our Jaleesa Irizarry has gotten there and joins us now with what's happening there. Jaleesa?
Yeah, Tom, we just pulled in maybe 5 to 10 minutes ago. I see about a dozen cars in the parking lot, maybe a little more than a handful of families inside, some with a few dogs. Now, the rec center did lose power, but they are still letting people in. We've also seen some crews, Austin, if you can pan over there, bringing in some bottled water for these individuals. Obviously, a very scary situation for them as they try to hunker down and wait to see what's left of their town and their homes. While we were coming into Boulder, didn't think the weather was that bad in this area, and then we got out of the car, and it's pretty windy here as well. We saw a few down power lines, a few bigger branches hanging out in the middle of the road, trying to avoid that area. But also standing over the trees, you can see the wind just is really kicking up over here. It's these occasional blasts that come through and really kind of just take you off your feet a little bit. But like I said, just a few families here right now. They did lose power, but they are accepting families as well. Letting people use the bathroom, get some rest, all of that. But I'm expecting a lot more families to come in the near future, Tom.
winds there as well. Again, Jaleesa Irizarry at the South Boulder Rec Center. An old friend of 9 News is joining us now, Chris Wheeler. He's an evacuee. And Chris, I'm sorry for what you're going through. Can you tell us a little bit about how things played out for you this afternoon?
Well, hey, Tom. I was actually at the Omni Interlochen playing golf and had quite a view of the plume of smoke going. So we came home, and I guess the best way to describe just the scene is nuclear winter. The town is, Louisville kind of looks like a ghost town. We just got evacuation orders, so we're trying to figure out where to go, but coming home, it was complete gridlock. So I think getting in and out or out of Louisville is going to be a really difficult thing.
Do you right now, I mean, do you feel, obviously, that there is a random and dangerous nature to this fire? It seems like going would be the play. I can't speak to that from where you stand, but or do you feel like you are currently, or your neighborhood is currently in the line of fire, in danger?
Yeah, I think so, and we're just trying to figure out what the best way to get out of town is, because I drove through gridlock to get here, to get Kelly and my son, and to leave. But I guess we're trying to come up with a strategy on how do we get out of town and where do we go? Because I think on one hand, you're vulnerable being at home. On the other hand, we have to weigh, is it the best thing to be in gridlock in a traffic jam, not moving in a car? So we're just trying to figure out, come up with some sort of strategy is how do we get, out of Louisville, which is just, the cars in and out of town the roads are just jammed. So it's difficult to get in or out or go anywhere. So you kind of feel trapped, I guess.
Yeah, Chris, from your days here, you covered fires. They normally had at least a path or a projected path. These seem like they're pretty random. And I understand what you're saying about trying to move when you're not really sure where you need to move to. The evacuation sites for these places, we mentioned the YMCA of Northern Colorado and Dagny Way and Lafayette and the South Boulder Rec Center. But just getting down the street is hard right now.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing is trying to get to an evacuation center, because, as I said, it's just the streets are just clogged with traffic. You can't get anywhere fast, so you feel sort of vulnerable, So I guess I'm just not sure what we're going to do. I think we're going to try to wind through the neighborhoods and try to get to South Boulder Road. It seems like farther north it's a little more clear. But I will tell you this, just, being a news photographer for many years, I don't think I've ever seen quite a fire like this. I've seen and covered very large fires before, but this is something new. And the wind, I'm just looking out the window, the wind continues to blow. So I think, part of the fear, it's not just the fire, it's the fires that could happen, at any time, because, the winds can blow over a tower or a power line and cause a fire. I mean, our yards, we've been worried for a while, as I'm sure a lot of people, our yards are just bone dry. So all it literally would take is a spark at this point to ignite another fire. So the fires are bad, but the winds howling like they are, it's definitely unnerving.
Well, Chris, obviously you speak for a lot of people. You and Kelly get to safety. Stay safe. Thank you for taking a minute to share that with us, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Greeny. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Bye.
So that's where we stand right now. It gives you a good idea of what it's like for someone who is trying to evacuate. It is not as simple as getting in your car and driving off to the east or to the north and finding safety. Neighborhoods are jammed. People are all trying to move. And with the fire changing, the information is changing as well constantly as far as what people can do best to be safe. So we continue to try to get you the information as best we can. The pictures that we've been seeing from Noel Brennan's camera up on top of the Omni Interlochen golf course, that neighborhood we've been watching is been told the Rock Creek subdivision. Another former 9 News photographer talking about that area, because that area we've been watching has certainly been far too close to an encroaching fire line, and we continue to check in with all of our reporters around and get the latest on where these fires are moving, how people can best move to stay safe, and what's changing. And of course, as Danielle has been apprising us, these winds aren't going to be letting down anytime soon. Again, this is the picture from the Omni Golf Club, and that is the Rock Creek subdivision down there. But sadly, it appears that those flames continue to move closer and closer to that area. And that's another aspect of these fires today that's so different. They're the proximity to neighborhoods, to homes, to suburban life. And this is what Chris Wheeler was alluding to as well. This was the Costco parking lot. John Cole had sent these into us. It's not just confusion, it's visibility. It's suddenly having to react to everything changing. You can see the ash and embers burning in the air, flying by, and all of that smoke when people are trying to sort out the best way to make the next move. And just in the course of 3 hours now, that has changed dramatically for many people who were in safe areas, who may no longer be in a safe area, from north of Boulder all the way down south now, almost to Broomfield. And if you are not in any of those areas, you get a good idea of how dangerous these conditions are in all areas, that it would take so little. Danielle Grant is joining us again. And Danielle, we've been talking about this for months now, how dry things have been, how windy things have been. Last week was a major wind event, and it takes nothing to go from a normal day to a day like this, where it's anything but normal for so many people.
Gosh, it almost looks apocalyptic out there, Tom, just with the dark smoke out there, the flames of the fires that are burning across the area, and then you have the bright blue skies too. We did get a couple of new reports into the Weather Center of just how strong these winds have been. Right now, the highest wind gust that I have seen reported out in Rocky Flats at 115, 100-mile-per-hour gusts around the White Ranch open space, and Boulder, of course, 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Still going strong right there at 75 miles per hour, a little less around Broomfield, but still winds picking up and down the I-25 corridor and even stretching across DIA through Watkins and Strasburg too. The foothills, of course, looking at the worst of it. These winds coming our way out of the southwest. They will continue to do so through late tonight. Right now, I'm really not anticipating these winds to back off until about 5-6 o'clock or so. Once that sun finally goes down, we should get a little help from Mother Nature, but still it will be breezy overnight. Tomorrow is when the wind shift comes, and that is when we start to see some snow. Yes, snow around here. Looking ahead toward the next couple of hours, still easily, we could be tracking 50 to 60 mile per hour speeds by 9 o'clock or so tonight. These winds not only weaken up in the foothills, but also here in the metro area. And then you can kind of see just by the arrows anyway, by tomorrow midday, we see that cold front push through, bringing us the northeasterly winds. And yes, some snow, which certainly would be a wonderful, wonderful sight to see. The high wind warning will be continuing until 11 o'clock tonight. This includes, of course, the foothills, parts of Boulder County, Boulder, of course, up through Fort Collins, and then stretching into Wyoming, too. These numbers have been just jaw-dropping. When you look at, of course, the videos and stuff, you can see how brown it is, how parched we are across the entire Front Range. But actually looking at the numbers, wow, right? 1.6 inches from August 1st through today, December 30th in Boulder. Typically in that time frame, we should be closer to about 7 inches of rain, of snowfall coming through, of water. We desperately, desperately need it around here. And unfortunately, it's just going to be coming in a day too late. As I zoom in here to the drought monitor, you can see the extreme drought conditions stretching from Boulder through Broomfield, Louisville, through Superior, down south toward Denver, C470, E470. And unfortunately, this is a situation that isn't just going to be fixed